Bucham is an activist and protest singer. He has been heavily involved in the world of activism for 3 years, heading up his own campaigns to raise awareness for deaf, dumb and blind convicts. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Jerry is fast becoming a popular face on the protest music circuit with his hard-hitting mixture of Bob Dylan-esque anthems and Phil Collins-like showmanship. He blends pop and protest to create his own brand of pop test, not to be confused with music quizzes and drinking tests. Jerry is fighting for equality every day of his life. He wants nothing more but the best for the world, and if he can make a #1 hit while he's doing it, well, so be it. Jerry Bucham, welcome to Shipwreck Hits.
It's nice to be here, Holly.
And you're going to play some songs live in the studio. Jerry, tell us about the first song you're going to play for us.
Great, I will. This first song is about racism, and it's from a charity that I set up called Race Is, not Racism. And so this song is about racism, and it's called Watercolour Challenge. And it was inspired by my granddad, who always used to say, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." I mean, that said, he did have a heart attack while he was watching Countdown, but love you, Grandad.
Let's hear it.
The grass is green and the trees are too. The sun is yellow and the Smurfs are blue, and yet we treat them as though they're the same. There's no fighting, there is no pain, because it doesn't kick off with them. Coal miners are black, but that's mainly soot. They still understand what's going on in the hood. Tony Hart dealt with every single one. If we put our hearts to heart, we can turn our vision on. It's quite clever. Alright, so some people just can't hack it, but Joseph did, and so did his jacket, because it was technicoloured. Being colourblind must be great, unless you're picking out jelly babies in an identity parade. So how come a rainbow isn't racist? Is it 'cause the colours have been together for ages? How do those shades live side by side without the riot police making sure they stay in the lines? Come on! We need to do this, don't be a disgrace. We need to start a master race. I want to... No, sorry. I mean, when I say master race, I wasn't being Nazi-ish about it. I'm just saying if I'm a colour and you're a colour, let's just mix those up like you would with paint. You know, if you're washing brushes, you'd use white spirit, not white spirit. Doesn't matter what colour the spirit is. It's just stop being racist. That's kind of the point behind it. Stop being racist, please. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you. You've got a very busy schedule at the moment, so
Yes,
thank you for fitting us in.
It's all right. It looks busy, but that's because I put a lot of stuff on the website that doesn't exist. So
we'll dive straight in
Yep.
to your track choices for your Shipwreck hits. Firstly, though, let's hear about your childhood.
I had a childhood, which I think is always useful when you're starting out. A lot of people don't have childhoods, Benjamin Button, for a start. Well, I mean, he did have a childhood, but by the time he got to it, he probably was too old to enjoy it. But I had a good upbringing. It was there was a bit of rebellion there, right from the off, really. I don't see myself as being born so much as casting off the shackles of the oppressive matriarchal society, bursting from my mother's womb. Not literally, obviously, that would have been horrible. I don't think the NHS could have dealt with it. So
you were saying you started with your rebellion early. Your philanthropic tendencies, did that develop at an early age?
Well, colic developed at an early age, but later from that, yes, I think I was quick to get involved in philanthropic stuff. Certainly as a child, I was collecting milk bottle tops for Blue Peter. And hand on my heart, I don't know what that was for. Presumably some sort of dairy deficiency, but I did it because it was about doing something for other people, you know, and I would collect as many milk bottle tops as I could. In fact, it used to make my mum quite angry because I used to run through Asda taking the tops off the milk, so she had no option but to buy them.
Otherwise, it was stealing.
Well, exactly. We weren't going to get involved in that.
No.
So, but I mean, it was difficult times, you know, particularly for her because she was lactose intolerant.
Strong moral fibre from your mother, though. Have you always had strong role models in your life?
Yes, I think so. My mum's always been very good. She's always, you know, strived to live her life as well as she could, really. You know, apart from the drink driving incident. But other than that, she was a saint.
You mentioned Blue Peter. Do you feel now that children have the same good moral TV shows?
I think you can get into, you know, what's a good moral guidance for kids, you know, and you can say this isn't good enough, that isn't good enough. But no, I don't think they're good enough these days. I think, you know, Blue Peter taught me a lot about looking after tortoises for a start, you know. And I mean, I don't have a tortoise and I've got no intention of getting one, but if I do, then I know how to put it away for hibernation. You know, I know how to recycle washing up liquid bottles. So I think they're skills that a lot of kids these days could do with, you know. If it was a kid that was stranded on a desert island, they'd probably die within minutes, you know, whereas me, but a sticky back plastic and papier mâché, I could, you know, fashion a hut.
Some fantastic skills that you've gained from your Blue Peter years.
Yes.
And they're still going.
Well, that's it, you know, they've not been cancelled yet,
No.
which, you know, no one's more surprised than me.
Tell us about your teenage years. Were they rebellious?
They were, yeah. When I sort of hit my teens, I got involved with a bad crowd, and we used to do a lot of vandalising at school, you know, partly because I think it's always healthy to question authority, you know, and partly because I just wanted to fit in, you know, and I think that's the best reason for doing most things.
We're going to go to your first song choice now for your Shipwreck hits. Tell us a bit about the song, the man that's inspired the song and inspired you.
Well, you know, I've been inspired by a lot of men in my life, you know, some in good ways, some in bad, but, you know, that's not for here. But this song is Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan. And I've picked this song because Bob Dylan was a great songwriter and a great activist. You know, I got involved with music at a young age. I think we all have that moment in life where music sort of touches us and we think, yeah, that's what I...
What was yours? Yeah.
I think my first influence with music was an episode of Live and Kicking when Steps were on. You know, that really inspired me. Not so much the music, but there was a bit where they were being interviewed by Zoe Ball and one of the kids in the audience called H a prick. And I thought, yeah, that aggression, that anger, that anarchy, that's something that I need in my life. So, you know, me and a friend set up a band. You know, we were doing hip, edgy music with a bit of a Japanese influence. We called ourselves Euthanasia, but we never took off.
And do you still like to collaborate with fellow activists?
I do every so often. I'll do duets or, you know, backing vocals on someone's track. But it just depends. You know, if they haven't got the, you know, presence online, then it's not worth it.
If you'd like to introduce the track for us.
Yes, this is Bob Dylan, Blowing in the Wind. Again, not literally.
How many roads must a man walk down?
You just heard Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan there. You're tuned in to Shipwrecked Hits with me, Holly Cooper. I'm joined by Jerry Bucham. Thank you very much for joining us, Jerry.
Not a problem.
Now, we've just heard Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan, lyrics of that song. Tell us what they mean to you.
They're powerful lyrics, you know. I think what Bob did with that song was he learned the power of asking questions in music. You know, how many roads can a man walk down? You know, how many things that can a thing do? You know, and I think asking questions in songs is provocative, and it's what a lot of artists have really encapsulated. You know, can you feel the love tonight? Who let the dogs out? I think it's, you know, we shouldn't shy away from these big issues.
What are the big issues that you like to carry? What are the big issues you like to question with your music?
Well, the big issues I like to carry are the big issue, because, you know, it's always worth flogging that. You know, that could do with more popularity. But the big issues I like to question are anything and everything. You know, I will turn my hand to any cause because I think it's important to. and I'm freelance, so I've got the privilege. But I have dealt with a lot of different things. I've done a lot to help dyslexic dwarves. That's a charity called the Society for Height Restricted Intellectually Malnutrition People. That's SHRIMP for short. And they're worth helping out because, it's like the slogan says, they're not big and they're not clever, but they do have feelings.
As does everyone.
Well, exactly.
Tell us about your first taste of success. I know you've got a healthy career so far.
Well, it's not as healthy as you'd think.
Oh?
I got into this to do some good. But that said, I've still got to keep myself in dishwasher tablets. So I need an income, and it's not very easy. You can do demonstrations, you can do sit-ins, you can do protests, you can do whatever you like, but it's when it comes to invoicing them for it, that's when it gets difficult. I'm still chasing up the RSPCA, and that was 6 years ago.
It's a harsh world.
It is a harsh world, and far be it for me to sully the reputation of big charities, but the RSPCA are a bunch of dodgers.
Okay, you heard it here first. So tell us about the protest that you've been involved in, or the movement that you've been involved in, that you're most kind of proud of.
I'm proud of a lot of the charities that I get involved in. I've done a lot to help save Wales, because it's a great country and it doesn't get the recognition it deserves. But it depends. I've done a lot of work to help the homeless. We came up with something. There was quite a bad spate where a lot of homeless people were sort of falling into traffic or wandering into busy roads. So we set up a campaign to bring road safety to the homeless. And we got I won't lie to you, we bought those fluorescent triangles you get from Halfords, and we got them to wear them on their chest. We called it Super Tramp, but for people that eat out of the bins around the back of Greggs, they can be surprisingly choosy about what they go for.
And do you ever find, this sounds like a frustrating experience, do you ever find yourself frustrated with the causes that you're involved in?
Absolutely, yeah. A couple of years back, me and a friend, we tried to set up a soup kitchen, because obviously I was very heavily involved in activism at the time anyway, and he worked at Wetherspoons. And we thought we'd combine these two skills to start a soup kitchen. And my friend, Tom, he wanted to give something back, something more than they would usually get. So he decided to do gourmet soups at the soup kitchen, and he had a lot of great recipes: chorizo and butterbean broth, olive and fennel gazpacho, that sort of stuff. I was just going to do a couple of tins of big soup and sliced loaf. But, he said focaccia or nothing. So we set up the soup kitchen and well, I won't lie, the first day we were packed to the rafters with tramps, literally bums on seats. And but these things struggle. After a while we had to give it up, partly because it was getting harder and harder to come up with good recipes, but also because it was getting expensive to do. I mean, in the end we had to start charging for it. The last count, I think it was about £8 a cup. But you live and learn. Some things work, some things don't. It was disappointing, more so for Tom than me. And there's no way you can console someone that's just thrown away 3 vegetable drawers full of pak choy.
We're going to move on now to your next choice of track, Free Mandela. Tell us about, this man must be a key role in your life.
Yes, he was. Like a lot of people, I first became aware of Nelson Mandela when Morgan Freeman played him in that film with Matt Damon. And that really stood out for me. And I thought, well, this is an interesting chap. And then I sort of read into it and I thought, well, he's been arrested, maybe he's not all that good. But actually, you read a bit further and you find, well, he is. And that's why I picked this song, because he's passed away, and that is a real shame, and he was a real inspiration to a lot of people. But it's a catchy tune, and I think in many ways that's what matters the most. I think if Deirdre Rashid had a tune that was quite as good as this behind us, she would have been out of those bars quicker than you could say Convict.
Free Mandela by The Specials there. Another choice from Jerry Bucham in his Shipwrecked hits. So that was a long battle for Nelson Mandela. Have you had a point in your life where you've been fighting for something and felt like you were going to give up, but then got there in the end? And how did it feel when you did?
Yeah, you get a lot of that as an activist, a lot of long battles that you think are never going to get resolved, but they do. Certainly the most important in my life was trying to get my neighbour to cut his tree back because it was coming over into the garden. I don't have a great car. It's only a Nissan Micra, but even still, you don't want sap getting on the windscreen. So that was a long battle. That took a good couple of years, and we approached him and were polite. But there was light at the end of the tunnel, and there was a resolution because we cut it off when he was asleep.
So, Jerry, how do you feel like you'd cope in a shipwreck situation? How do you survive?
I think I'd be all right, because I think what protesting teaches you is to have a thick skin. At the very least, that could fend off mosquitoes. That'll take them a good little while to chip away at it.
So tell us about your last track that you've chosen for us.
The last track I have chosen is a song by The Police. Not The Establishment, because I wouldn't go for that, but the band The Police with Sting, because Sting gets a bad rap, and I think he's had a lot of great songs with a lot of powerful messages behind them. Fields of Gold, about the environment, Walking on the Moon, about carbon footprints, and Roxanne, Put on Your Red Light, which I'm pretty sure is energy efficient, so he's tackling that as well. But I've gone for this because it's my favourite song that he's done, and it's Don't Stand So Close to Me, about leprosy.
I'm here with Jerry Bucham for Shipwrecked Hits. So, Jerry, which track would you choose to take to the island?
Well, the Bob Dylan one is timeless. It's got a real beautiful quality to it. But that said, I love Sting, so probably that one.
And you'd have your guitar as well, so you could entertain yourself for hours.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I know Blowing in the Wind because it's only 3 chords. People call him a genius, but it wasn't that complicated.
Jerry, it's been a pleasure having you here today, and you're going to play us out on a song. Tell us about it.
That's right, Holly. The song I'm going to finish on is about when times get tough and the government start banning the things that we love the most. And this is always the first thing to go. It's the hose pipe. And I'm not going to stand for it anymore because I've got to be gone. So if they even think about banning it again, then I'll be livid.
Plants are dying of thirst. Could it get any worse? Well, yes, probably it could, 'cause they could be gone for good. What about the father of 3 trying to wash his Renault Scenic? Or the homeless tramp? The hose helps keep him hygienic. What about gardeners feeling very depressed? They've attached the hose pipe to the exhaust, 'cause they've got nothing left. Come on, don't ban the hose pipe, ban the bomb instead, unless it's a water bomb, 'cause they never make people dead. Don't ban the hose pipe, it's what we all adore. If we go too long without it, we'll get a bit waterboard. There's a double meaning there. Drop the beat, guys. This is going out to my gardening bros. You won't get much done without your hose. It's not fair you can't water your plants. Your veggies are dying, give those peas a chance. I just had a thought of one thing we ought to do is not open the door to those that ban the water, 'cause it's trauma for your daughter or your son. If this is now, then what's next? Who knows? If the water in can, then why can't the hose? Big questions I'm proposing, 'cause I don't understand why we have to stop hosing. We need to take a stand. We need to make a plan. Can't we just speak to someone who works for Evian? We probably can, is what I'm saying. Don't ban the hose pipe. Let's hold a referendum and contemplate the future of all those rhododendron. Don't ban the hose pipe, 'cause where will it all end? 'cause none of us want to bathe with a friend.
Finishing on the big issues there. Thank you very much, Jerry Bucham.
Thank you.